Hi Natapong, let's take a look at this set of essays you've sent. The first one is about school subjects in Germany. Here's what you wrote. The pie chart gives information about the proportion of 7 school subjects with an S in Germany in the year 2017. Units are measured in percentage. Okay, fine. Overall, it can be seen that the most popular subject in Germany was PE in the period given, whereas IT had the least popularity in German schools, S, in 2017. Furthermore, the popularity of physics and maths had almost similar levels, S, of popularity in Germany. Physics, 18, and maths, 19. Okay, fine. In terms of PE, its popularity comprised, comprised 22.9%, which was 0.5% higher than history. Let's see, why are we talking about PE? Okay, fine. Which was 0.5% higher than history at 22.4% in Germany. In addition, there was a very slight difference in popularity of maths and physics, which accounted for 19.5 and 18.1. Okay, so of the 7 so far, you've talked about 4 of them. Let's see, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. With regards to the remaining school subjects, which had less than 10% popularity, comma here, because that's not a full sentence, only 3.7, that's inaccurate. Let's see, IT accounted for only 3.7%, okay, which was the least popular subject for German students in 2017. Neither of the subjects had, no. Additionally, neither biology nor geography had much popularity at 7.1 and 6.4% respectively. Okay, so let's see. It looks like you covered all of the subjects. I have to make sure that you did. So let's just take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You did. Great. Okay. Yeah. So this is fine in terms of the key features. You've mentioned them all. You didn't have a lot of information here to work with, so you included everything, and that's good. I like the way you organize this. So, in other words, you talked about the highest. That was fine, and then you grouped these together. That was a smart way to do it. This less than 10%. I liked that. So it worked really well. Grammatical stuff basically was for me the biggest weakness here. Little naturalness of expression. Those were the areas that were the weakest here. But in terms of the content, it was both organized and extended quite well. Okay, I always think that these diagrams that have very little information are probably the hardest, but you dealt with it quite well. Okay, so we just have to work on some of the naturalness of your expression and some of that grammar. All right, so now let's go on to your task 2. This is the one about money on weddings. Here's what you wrote. Many couples throughout both the developing and developed world have debated whether spending plenty of money on weddings, S, has a great benefit or generates drawbacks, S. This essay will discuss both sides using examples from the UK government and Oxford University to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, remember what the question has asked you. They have asked you for your position on this. Do the benefits outweigh or do they not outweigh? So the place where you have to state your position is right here in that introduction. This way, you can ensure that your position is clear throughout the response. And if you look at the band descriptors, that's something you need to do for a band 7 in task achievement. So make sure, whatever the question is asking you here, that you address the question and you answer it in your introduction. Okay? Let's move on. There is ample evidence that spending a lot of money on a wedding event in relation to having better location, generating more attractive theme, appeals to delegates more. All right, I'm a little confused about some of this wording here. I don't know what you mean by delegates. That's a strange word to use. And generating more attractive theme also seems a little bizarre. So your word choice is creating some incoherence, so be careful with that. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, places replete with facilities such as subway accessibility significantly facilitate participants in joining the event. Secondly, decoration in a unique theme attracts people to engage more in the event where they can be rewarded with gifts for the best costume at a wedding. Really? Okay. For example, recent empirical research by the UK government demonstrated that over 70% of people enjoy dressing in a fancy theme in the weddings. It must not be forgotten that most wedding parties, get rid of this of, were held in the evening. So riding public transport does not generate more traffic. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that spending more money on the ceremony can provide better places and bring about a more creative event. All right. I was a little confused here. All right, all this stuff about being accessible to the subway, what does that have to do with spending money? So if there's a connection, you did not make that connection clear. Are you trying to tell us that places in the city with subway connection tend to be more expensive, but this is absolutely worth it because of the benefit it generates in aiding participants to be able to ride the subway? I mean, if that's what you were trying to say, okay. But you definitely needed to do a clearer job of getting that idea across, okay? Another thing that I wasn't really happy with was the organization of your sentences. So you started all of this out about the subway, but then it was all the way down here where you actually explored that, and that is really not the right place to be putting this idea. It should have gone directly after that section where you discussed it. So basically, it's your main idea, and then directly after that, you have to put the support for that main idea, all right? Not in some other random place in your paragraph. So try to put the support directly after the sentence that it explains. And then I thought this was kind of interesting, this idea about fancy dress at a wedding. I mean, what were you telling us? That when you're more engaged in the wedding? I didn't understand what any of this had to do with money, basically. I mean, you needed to bring back this idea that there are benefits that spending a ton of money will give you that you cannot get if you don't spend a lot of money. That's the central idea that you should have in your mind when you are thinking up your ideas and then transferring them onto the paper as paragraphs, okay? Let's move on. No comma after although. So, although there is a case for convenience and attractiveness for a wedding, the impact of having enormous debt and potential divorce cannot be overstated. This is largely because couples borrow money from banks to hold their ceremonies, and this evidently generates unnecessary debt for them. Then there is, okay, again, back it up. Tell me your support right here. Then there is the possibility that the couples will be contentious about the portion they want to pay, since they cannot deal with each other. In case they cannot deal with each other, this potentially leads to divorce. This is awkward. What does that mean? In case they cannot deal with each other? So there's a disconnect. It's creating incoherence here. For instance, an extensive study by Oxford University showed that most couples ended up with more than $20,000 debt for the luxurious wedding ceremonies. Consistent with this line, consistent with this is that an affordable ceremony such as a wedding on the beach will also provide an actual theme, and participants can ride with carpools to join this exciting, careful with your spelling, event. All right. Thus, it is possible to state beyond doubt that that high spending on a wedding potentially generates debt that brings unpleasant impact to couples, apostrophe, lives with an S. All right. This didn't fit here. None of this really fit here. I was confused about it. I understand that it's like the opposite of what you had said in the previous paragraph, but it really just did not fit in this paragraph, so I was confused about it. I can't really say that I support the way you structured this paragraph. It didn't fit with the whole meaning. The whole meaning is supposed to be talking about the negatives of spending a lot of money. So you were okay when you started talking about debt, and I could have also accepted you talking about how all of this pressure and all of this expense could lead to problems in the marriage, because couples are basically starting out in the red. Okay, so if you had gone in that direction, I would have been okay with that. But all of this is just not appropriate. Okay, it's not appropriate to the development of your paragraph. To conclude, from examples and arguments given, despite the fact that investing much money on wedding ceremonies would result in comforting the delegates — I don't know who these delegates are, I think you mean the guests — and creating a more appealing event, get rid of however, because you have despite. Having debt and divorce after the wedding has ended reflects that the cons are greater than those of the pros. No, are greater than the pros. That the cons are greater than the pros. That's how you want to say this. All right, so clearly we've got some grammatical errors here, and then there's some incoherence happening, partially because of grammar, partially because of vocabulary. So those are the areas I really want you to look at, okay? Go ahead and correct these, return them to us corrected, and let's see your next set. Let's see what ends up happening when you actually correct these essays and if you made it a little more coherent. I'm looking forward to it. Good luck.